You guys have been asking what are my thoughts on Black Adam. I honestly don't have too much to say. I was not familiar with the character at all. I first heard about it when the first Shazam came out a few years ago, and I guess since Djimon Hounsou is in this movie, that means the two are gonna face up against each other, Shazam and Black Adam, at some point later down the line. Maybe in the sequel, or no, maybe in a third Shazam movie, depending on how the sequel does. Dwayne Johnson plays Black Adam, or someone who was born in an ancient civilization and was made into a god that rebelled against the wizardry rule or whatever. I can't remember exactly. I'm already starting to show how less interested I am in this movie. And he comes back after being awoken by a certain ragtag group of mercenaries who want to control the wizardry power, and he basically is an anti-hero who has to learn how to be good. With the help of the Justice Society, led by Dr. Fate, played by Pierce Brosnan, who I would say is probably the best part of the movie. Always likable in anything that he's in. Probably, I would say, the best actor in the movie. Everybody else is either okay or just not good. I try not to say that too much about actors or actresses because I know that their job is really hard, but I do feel like most of the performances in this movie were really flat or just blech. And also because I really do like Dwayne Johnson in other movies that he's been in. But here, he just plays one note throughout the whole thing. The same or similar expression on his face. He just doesn't have any personality to him. We learn about his past, yeah, but it doesn't really feel like he's changed much by the end of the movie. He just plays the same type of attitude from beginning to end, which doesn't really make it easy for the audience or myself to connect with him on some level. As far as the Justice Society, Hawkman is okay. The actor's alright. I don't remember his name. The Atom Smasher, the costume looks like a ripoff of Deadpool, which I guess was the intention. It's like a mixture of Ant-Man and Deadpool. He was kind of a fun addition. The Justice Society, that team though, was a mixed bag for me. As far as the villain, so one-dimensional. Knew exactly who he was going to be within the first 20 minutes when they're sneaking into that temple. And by the time he becomes the big baddie, it basically turned into a common thing that you hear about comic book movies when everybody talks about superhero fatigue, which normally drives me up the wall, but in this case, I would not argue with you. It basically turns into a giant CGI blur, where it feels like I'm just watching this big spectacle happening, and there's not much to it underneath the surface. And I don't want to compare it to the MCU. You could say whatever you want about it, but I feel like those movies, even the weaker ones, or maybe what you consider the worst ones, they at least have something at least driving the characters to when they get to their climactic moment. There's at least something underneath the surface that's carrying them towards the next moment that they need to get to. I don't really feel that in this one. This should not exist in this time. If Fan 4 Stick was any indication, movies like this don't belong in this era of comic book films. Maybe it was excusable back in the early 2000s. Not in 2022. You gotta do better than that. And some of the musical choices in this movie, similar to Suicide Squad, felt very out there and just what the hell is going on here, and didn't mesh with the overall filmmaking on my end. Using Painted Black by the Rolling Stones, a song that I really like, but it feels like any other song could have been played in that sequence where he takes out the mercenaries with the tanks. Just felt like way too safe of a choice right there. And then there's the mid-credit scene, which I know for sure that everybody's talked about. Superman comes in to talk to Black Adam, but it's not just any actor playing Superman. It's Henry Cavill. I figured sooner or later he was going to return. I think that he's a good choice for the character. We've seen little glimpses of greatness from him, but he's been severely mishandled by this franchise. Maybe Warner Brothers can learn their lesson in the future, and it's nice to see that Henry Cavill's actually getting somewhat of a second chance to redeem himself as Superman. Considering Warner Brothers' track record with this character, I'm not optimistic. If anything, you get to see more Henry Cavill as Superman, so there's that. Unfortunately, that's going to be the main reason why people talk about this movie, just because of this one particular scene. Yeah, I'm really pulling at straws here, and I'm not really going into a full-length rant because I honestly don't have a lot to say about this movie. It's just, I'm going to say it. It's a waste of time. So, those are my thoughts on the movie. Comment below and tell me what your guys' thoughts are if you've seen it. And how do you feel about the mid-credit scene? Are you excited for Henry Cavill returning? I'm kind of curious to see what they do with him. But in any case, let me know in the comments what you thought of it, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey, like what you see? Don't forget to like and subscribe.